Chapter 12. Pete's Big Sale. Amid the cries of the children, broken dishes clattered to the floor. As Pam and Holly hurried to pick up the pieces, Joey Brill rushed from the store. Pete wanted to chase him and give him a punch on the nose. But Pete felt he should not leave the store again while his father and Tinker were away. He would take care of Joey later. Maybe Dad won't ever let us mind the store again, Pam worried. Even little Sue looked sad. She walked over and sat on the rocking horse, but did not rock. If her daddy did not let them come into the store again, she would miss the lovely toys. Seeing her sister so glum, Holly went over to comfort her. "Don't worry, Susie," she said. "When we go home, I'll give you a ride in the dog cart." Suddenly, a woman's voice behind her said, "I'm here to buy a dog harness." Startled, the girls looked up to see a thin woman wearing glasses. Sue spoke up. "We have them." Holly led the way to a showcase in which a selection of leather collars and harnesses. "How large is your dog?" Holly asked. "Oh, regular collie size," the woman replied. "Maybe you should have brought your dog along," Holly said. "Then we could measure him." The woman laughed. "How could I bring Laddie when his harness is broken?" "We have a collie," Holly said quickly. "A collie?" the woman repeated. "Maybe a harness that fits your dog would fit mine." Holly suddenly giggled. "Once we tried our dog's harness on my brother Ricky, and it fit fine. He's right over there. We'll use him for a model. Hey, Rick, come over here, please." As the woman watched in amusement, the boy hurried over. "Get down on your hands and knees," Holly said. "We want to try a dog harness for size." The boy chuckled and dropped to his hands and knees. "How's this?" Holly said, fastening a brown leather harness over Ricky. "Why, I'd say it's fine," the woman said, then laughed heartily as Ricky began to jump about and bark, "Arf, arf!" The woman threw up her hands and shook with laughter. "I don't know when I've ever seen anything so funny," she said. It's a picture. She paid for harness and went out of the store still chuckling. "Ricky," said Pam, "you ought to get a dog costume and join a pet show." While she was talking, a tall, heavy-set man walked into the store. He had broad shoulders and strong arms, which the children could see because he wore a short-sleeved shirt with an open collar. "Where's the boss?" he boomed. "Right here," said Pete. The man looked down at him and smiled. "You're the boss?" "Yes," Pete replied. "My father is out, and I'm in charge of the store." "And are all these your little helpers?" the man asked. "That's right," Pete replied. "This is my staff." "Well, I'm very happy to meet you," the man said. "To tell you the truth, sir, we aren't very happy," Holly said, and told the man of their accidents. "By George," he replied, "I've had an accident too." "What kind?" Pete asked. "I've just wrecked my canoe," he said. "I was paddling on the lake and hit an old tree stump underwater. It ripped out the floor of my canoe right out, and now I'm looking for a new one." "For a new floor?" Sue asked. The man laughed. "No, little girl, I'm looking for a new canoe. Do you sell them?" "Yes, we do," Pete replied proudly. "Follow me over here." He led the way to the back of the sporting goods department. There, lined up in a rack against the wall, were 6 canoes. "We have them at all prices," Pete said. "Now here's this little one." "Little one?" the man interrupted. "I need a big canoe." "Do you have a lot of children to take riding?" Sue asked. "No," the man said. "I haven't any children, or any wife either. I'm just Bill Barlow, a bachelor. But you see, I'm so heavy I need a big canoe to carry all my weight." All this time, Ricky had been watching Mr. Barlow intently. fine muscles he had. He must be able to paddle a canoe very fast, the little boy thought. Here, the man said. I think this canoe might fit me. It was the largest of the 6 canoes and cost more than the others. Oh, this is a very expensive one, Pete said, turning over the price tag for the man to see. Big man, big canoe, big price, Mr. Barlow said, laughing. I guess they go together. Then you'll buy it? Pete asked. This would be a wonderful sale. If Pete could sell this canoe, the profit would pay for a new water cooler bottle and the broken dishes. It's a deal, Mr. Barlow said, holding his hand toward Pete. The boy put his hand into the man's. How strong a grip he had. Swell, Pete grinned. Do you want us to deliver it? The man said yes and gave his address. As Pete was putting the money from the sale into the cash register, Tinker came back. He spied the broken water bottle immediately. What happened? He asked. The children told the story of the accident, and Tinker brought a spare bottle from the basement and inserted it easily. Mr. Barlow took a drink. Quite a lively force of salesmen you have here, he said to Tinker, winking. This man just bought the biggest canoe we had, Tinker, Pete said. Oh, that's right, good, the old man remarked, surprised to hear that the children had made such a large sale. Do you want it delivered right away? He asked Mr. Barlow. Yes, if you can do it. Tinker said he would be glad to put the canoe on the delivery truck at once. He and Mr. Barlow went to the back of the store and lifted the canoe outside and onto the truck. Tinker got behind the wheel. The big man jumped in and they went off. Not long afterward, Mr. Hollister returned from the meeting. How'd you make out, Dad? Pete asked. Mr. Hollister smiled. Well, I guess the speech was all right, he said. At least everyone clapped when I finished. He told them that in his talk, he had mentioned the new store and how proud he was of his children helping him. We're afraid you're not going to be too proud of us, Dad, when you see what happened, Pete said. Yeah, the cooler got all smashed up, Ricky reported, and Joey broke some dishes. That's too bad. You children couldn't help it. Make Joey Brill pay, Holly said indignantly. Mr. Hollister shook his head. No, I wouldn't like to do that. We're a new family in Shoreham and should not make complaints so soon. They talked it over, and the children agreed with their father that the best thing to do would be to forget about Joey's meanness. When Mr. Hollister opened his cash register drawer, he gave a whistle of surprise. Where did all this money come from? He asked. Pete explained about the big man buying the canoe. Fine, his father said, slapping Pete on the shoulder. I think you're a better businessman than I am. That's the biggest sale since I opened the trading post. The children were glad that their father was pleased. They had not been a nuisance at the trading post after all. Mr. Hollister was still full of praise for the children when they arrived home that evening. Elaine, he said to his wife, do you know that Pete made a fine big sale this afternoon? I think we should have ice cream for dessert to celebrate it. I've already planned it, she said, smiling. After supper, the children played outside until it was time to go to bed. Then Pete said to his father, Are we going to set the camera up again tonight? That prowler may return. Mr. Hollister liked the idea, but he said laughingly, Better put the cats in the kitchen tonight. We don't want any more false alarms. That's right, Ricky said with a giggle. Whitenose might want to take pictures of all her kittens. Pete got his camera, flashbulb and string, and went into the cellar. Sue and Ricky followed him to watch. After he had set the camera on a box, Pete carefully attached the string to the shutter. Then he passed the cord across the cellar window and the door, hooking the loose end onto a nail over the workbench. Pete is smart, isn't he? Sue said to Ricky. "He's going to take a picture of nobody." Her brothers laughed. "Well, if Mr. Nobody comes sneaking around tonight," Ricky said, "the flash will go pop and we'll get his picture." "What makes it go pop?" Sue asked, stepping closer to the camera. Ricky was eager to show the little girl how it operated. He put his finger near the shutter and looked at Sue very importantly. "This little gimmick," he started to say when his finger touched the camera. There was a flash of light and a click. "Hey, look what you've done!" exclaimed Pete, who had been busy checking the string. "You've taken a picture, and I think that's my last flash bulb." "Gee, I'm sorry," Ricky said, a little frightened. "It was my fault," Sue said bravely. "But I have a birthday candle you can use instead." At this, both boys chuckled. Pete explained that this would not work and went to look for another bulb. There was one left. After Pete had reset the camera, the three children carried the cats upstairs into the kitchen, and shortly afterward they all went to bed. There was no disturbance during the night. The next morning, Pete was awakened by Ricky, who could not wait to see what had happened in the cellar. "Hurry up," he said. "Maybe there's a picture." They went down the cellar stairs, and Pete let out a whoop. "Another picture's been taken," he shouted, and this brought the others running. "It couldn't be the cats," said Holly, racing up to Pete. "We'll soon find out who it was," Pete told her, as he tried the back cellar door. It was locked. The window was also tightly shut. Whose picture could it be? Was it really a ghost? Pete took it out of the camera. "My goodness," Mrs. Hollister exclaimed. "It's a man." The picture showed only the back of the man. He wore rough clothes, and on his head was a funny little round hat. Chapter 13 is called A Strange Meow.